But yes, hello everybody, and welcome to our webinar, VPP Revenue Strategies for Power Utilities. Quick round of introductions. My name is Jan Tiemann. I'm the Marketing and PR Manager here at Fusebox. And I am happy actually to see that there has been large interest in this webinar. And it really goes to, I think, show that how important this topic is about energy flexibility and how we can apply this in real life. And this is also partly why I had the pleasure at the moment to introduce our today's presenter, Aleksandr Sepp. And he's the head strategic partner here at Fusebox. And thanks to that, he has consulted with countless power utilities and asset aggregators across Europe. And this has given him maybe the best overview of all of what the pain points are and how these scattered resources and intermittent renewables can actually be turned into a competitive edge in today's energy sector. Before we jump into the presentation, a quick note about the technical aspects. You may have already noticed that we are recording this webinar. I will send you the link to the recording after the webinar. The webinar will last 1 hour. Also, I would actually encourage you to ask a lot of questions, kind of get a dialogue going. And in order to do that, we have changed maybe from the traditional form where you can ask questions at the end to a more dynamic mode where you can ask questions in between the presentation. We will, after each block in presentation, we will do a Q&A round. In order to leave your question, you can do it either by typing in chat. You have a Q&A button at the top of the Teams meeting, or you can simply raise your hand and unmute and voice your question. And if we don't have the time to reach your question at the end, then we will simply answer it through email later. So that's it from me, and I will now pass my microphone over to Aleksandr.
Yes, hello. Thank you, Jan. Thank you, everyone that who registered this. I saw that there were quite many participants, and really happy about that. Let's move on because time is ticking. So a few words about Fusebox, born in Baltics in Estonia, but already now we have clients all across Europe, starting from Finland, ending up with Greece, but of course also in Netherlands. And I think that our main features, why we are so successful right now, is really easy to integrate and high automated solutions and scalable solutions that we are offering our clients. But how we have reached to a point where we need to offer a market a really robust solution, VPP solution, that we just faced on the market, that there are a really huge growth of renewables caused by environmental aspects and goals that, for example, in Europe, many countries are trying to reach, and that of course cause a big imbalance in the grid, and our main clients, energy utilities, are facing those problems and trying to solve them old-fashioned way, but and also of course I need to mention that in some cases they're also losing their customers, and everyone is always struggling to get to connect their customers to their portfolio to manage their loyalty. So as I have already mentioned, we think we know and we really use it on a daily basis, virtual power plant as a service together with our clients. But also, not only that, we develop it further into EMS system for the assets. And we really believe that fully automative, easy to integrate VPP system can be a solution for the next years, for the problems that we will face in the next years. So just a brief explanation what we are, who we are. So what is like virtual power plant in the core sense? It's on one way, it's an aggregator of different assets. It can be energy storage solutions, production, but also consumption units. In that sense, it can be also a big consumers or big producers, but really from the grid perspective, small ones. So Fusebox is also an aggregator, but also provider two-way connection to the TSO and energy market. But also we are capable to accompany our VPP solution with a energy provider, their trading desk, for example, or any third-party platform that they are using. And really, virtual power plant is all of that, but also can be like a small aspect of that. Yes, and through our timeline, through our history, we have learned a lot. We overcame different regulatory challenges. That's why we are successful in many countries. But also we've solved the problem of different asset integration to our system. We dealt with the problems of how to manage renewables in the best way, but also be really efficient in different ancillary markets, and turn those challenges into our opportunities. So we create different revenue streams for our client. We'll talk about them today. Also, we created a centralized system for distributed energy assets. We have operational insight. We can have a near real-time monitoring system. We are innovative. We upgrade our system continuously. Yes, and all of that is that we offer to our clients. So really, let's get to the different business models that we created for you. There are more of them, but we will talk about the most relevant for the market right now. I will not read them out right now, so let's jump to the first business case. Basically, it's an ancillary service provider to the TSO. As we all probably know that there are different ancillary services, MFR, FRR, FCR. And yeah, so for that, we need to have assets. We need to have a connection to the TSO, to the local grid operator, and have a sufficient real-time telemetry with a granularity that is needed for a particular ancillary service. So you can see here that the connection we provide, the connection to the TSO, we exchange data with the TSO, we create automated reporting system. We monitor the market, schedule everything, make as automated as possible, but also while onboarding you, and after that we really support you, train you, and help you to be as efficient with your portfolio as possible. I will show you just one of the examples that we have. As you can see here, as you can see here, our system not only monitor your assets, but also creates the activation profile for the different hours in both directions, up and down regulation. Also, we analyze every time when we activate, when we make an activation, when we make a bidding to the market, we analyze what assets were not able to participate or had some kind of a not mistake, but were facing under delivery or over delivery. And our machine learning system optimize the further bids, both inside the day and for the next day in that particular hour. So everything is automated. Communication with the TSO is automated, and the bidding procedure goes according to for your predefined limitations that you set it up in your system. Also, we can have a look into every asset who was activated and see how much kilowatt hours or megawatt hours they were able to give either on up regulation or down regulation. All calculations are done according to the baseline that is accepted on a particular region TSO system. Yes, and yeah, that was the first business case. Maybe some of you has already questions.
Yes, if you have questions, please raise your hand. I think that's the quickest option at the moment. In the meantime, while you're still formulating your questions, maybe Aleksandr, you can mention or how often do these usually take place, these events?
It's a good question. Of course, those events are usually caused by seasonal fluctuations in the grid. For example, in summer, due to solar energy that is in the grid, the volatility of the system is quite high. So those activations, both directions, by the way, are quite frequent. And in reality, to my experience, to my historical overview, it can be either non-activation per day, or I think maximum that we have participated, now from the top of my head, was around 12. Or 12 or even more, yeah. Almost every second hour we have activated.
Yeah, that's excellent. We have a question coming from Jacob. How does the revenue model work?
The revenue model in that particular case, yeah, thank you for the question. Since we give our platform to our client, so they are setting up the revenue. So we are asking for monthly fee, and they earn the whole amount of money. They get all benefits that they can get from this market. Of course, if they make any kind of agreement with an end user, then usually it's a split of the revenue.
So just to clarify that our client is the power utility.
Yeah, in that particular case is a power utility. And then they are usually offer that for revenue share. And in some cases, revenue share can be percents, or it can be 50%. Depends on what kind of services they're offering.
And I think this is also a good opportunity for the power utility to figure out a very kind of innovative approach to lower customer churn. For example, like offering different revenue share options. So
and more than that, on the backbone, on the admin side of our platform, you can set up who are those parties who get that split of the revenue, and all the billing system, reporting system is automated. Once you have you set up the date when the report should went out, you set up the percentage, and person just get the report and
money.
The bill. Yeah, and then the money, yeah, basically money for nothing, you know. Any other questions?
So this just in. Yes, from Elina. In order to use the platform, does the TSO need to adopt it too? Is it integrated with TSO systems in the different European countries?
Yes, it's integrated to the TSO. Since Baltics are our, let's say, motherland playground from the very beginning, so we have integrations with all Baltic countries. We have integration with the TSO of Finland, Sweden. Right now, we are working on integration to the TSO of Netherlands and Denmark. Of course, since Greece is like utility from Greece is our, by the way, new client, we will have an integration up there. Also, just to mention, I was going to talk about that on the last slide, the timeline, but a new integration to the TSO takes usually 2 to 3 months. So it's not kind of a bottleneck in the process.
That's a good point. Also, Jacob would like to clarify the last question he had. And so me as a partner will pay you a monthly fee for your platform, and then we ourselves decide how much goes to us and how much to the customer.
Correct.
That is so.
And of course, we can, short answer, yes.
Okay. But I think we can move on at the moment.
Yes. We are moving on to another issue or the challenge that some of our clients are facing and trying to solve is imbalance reduction. So prerequisites, as with the previous one, is connection to the different monitorable assets with a real-time telemetry, to be precise with your activations. And of course, in some cases, it's good to have a TSO connection, but that's not a must-have in that particular case. So also, in addition to imbalance reduction, I would like to mention that it can be a part of intraday trading of that particular energy company. Maybe I will just jump straight to how we do it and then come back to the results. So in addition to really fine-tuned automated system of placing the bids, we also have a manual activation engine of different assets. So it's, as you can see here, it's regulation, scheduled, and real-time regulation. So when you have a scheduled regulation, you choose a different region you can choose different time of the day or even a day of the week. Choose what type of regulation you would like to have. Pick up the assets, push the next button, and the activation will be sent to your production or maybe even consumption unit. That's how, so everything can be, as I previously mentioned, accompanied with your intraday trading platform or trading trader. So that can be, so the imbalance reduction plus intraday trading. And as you can see, it's just a nice graph how you can make different kind of a regulation. So to be really precise with your day ahead prognosis. So that particular manual activation can bring you even more revenue from the trading. Also, we see that the imbalance costs or penalties that energy company are having is also one of the big issues that we help to overcome. But also, it's really having your hands on your portfolio management. You get to understand your assets in a better way, and you just squeeze everything from the trading process. Yeah, that's really was a short one. Maybe some kind of a questions.
My question maybe is that at the beginning you mentioned that you have scalable integration to monitorable assets, and the TSO connection is not necessary. So maybe you can elaborate a bit what kind of assets we're looking at then. Do they need to be like very flexible or big or small assets or?
So the connection to the TSO was needed for ancillary markets. But if you just try to avoid imbalance of your prognosis, then you just monitor your asset, and when you see that the prognosis and the real consumption and production is are a part of each other, so you can really react quite quickly. So you can send in a minute the activation to your asset.
And from power utilities point of view, these assets are.
It can be some huge consumption unit, like for example, you have a boiler somewhere. Boiler is a good example because you can send both signals for consumption or just shut down the consumption of the boiler. And since it has a huge inertia in the system, you can play with that. But also it can be a group of assets as well. So as you can see from here, so you can choose like make a really cherry picking of those assets in a particular time frame, because you know how they react during the day.
Okay, that's understood.
Yeah, and in this we will talk more about like real asset management system, EMS system. I mean, but also in reality, you can if you have an energy storage solution somewhere, you can also manipulate even both directions with the one asset.
And as there is no TSO connection, then as I understand, TSO connection takes time a bit to set up. Then how quickly are we looking at here for setting up?
Yeah, in reality, it's our last slide. So the tenant onboarding is around 3 months. So, and when everything is done, so we during that 3 months we usually connect one pilot site. So basically client can already make those activations with that pilot site after onboarding period.
Okay, that's good. No questions coming in at the moment, so I think everything is either understood or nothing was. Wait, just arrived. Jacob asking, how long does the FCRD or FFR activation takes if a solar battery connects to Fusebox? Say if you want me to clarify.
Okay, let's start from FFR. We have experience only in Sweden for FFR. Oh, we have an echo somewhere, sorry. So we have only a battery storage, energy storage system in Sweden that was pre-qualified for FFR. And in that sense, the activation with a battery, it's less than a second in that particular. But yeah, TSO just send activations for FFR themselves. And for the FCRD, it also depends on so what was the reaction time? How long does it the activation takes? Yeah, if an solar battery connects to the Fusebox. Yeah, it's a good question. I understand, because in some cases, if you have many layers between the energy storage solution and our system, there are add-ons of milliseconds, less than a second. And on the end, it's so, for example, for FCRD, the activation time is 5 seconds. So you have like 5.5 seconds if there are too many layers. So, but to answer Jacob's question, is the activation time for the battery is quite fast. Via Fusebox, it's within the needed limitations. If there are additional layers, for example, a battery EMS system, or like battery has its own EMS system, then there is our client trading platform, and then there is a Fusebox. Then we are trying to find a better solution how we can reduce those seconds. But if just the straight answer is with the batteries, it's the reaction time is not an issue. It's within the needed limits. So for FCRD, it's 5 seconds, for example.
Yeah, I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, well, if the same question will appear, or Jacob would like to specify something, we will have EMS business case, so he can ask there as well.
Okay.
So let's move further. As I have previously mentioned, the previous business cases were virtual power plant management, and business case 3 and 4 will be more related with a asset or site management features. So this particular business case is an energy arbitrage. So energy distribution within a particular site, and yeah, it's nice to have a TSO connection. Of course, it's not. It can be optional, but the connection to the TSO will increase return of investment of that particular site. And within our portfolio, we have both large, small, or medium scale assets as well. So we will be talking about the case where we have a consumer, where we have a production unit, and where we have a battery on one site. They have a grid congestion issue. So we need to monitor both before and behind the meter. Yeah, and really our platform not do only energy arbitrage, but also make energy distribution within that system. How we do it, we, on the backbone of our client's device, so control signal means that we have chosen, we can predefine the characteristic features, the limitations of both up and down regulations. And as you can see here, we have a really huge list of different limitations that we can set up on that site. It's time of the day of the week. It is marginality of one cycle. It is bid price. It can be spot price dependent, for example, but also there are certain regulations where we can define what is the duration, how many times per day we are ready to activate that particular asset, and many more. You see the service last value dependent here. That stands for any kind of additional requirements from that side. For example, if we talk about batteries, we need to track the state of charge of that energy storage solution. Different batteries has different values for that. So we predefine that we will not activate battery under certain limit. Also, on some of the batteries, temperature, monitoring the temperature is crucial thing. We also predefine that. For example, 40 degrees, if we see that it is already reaching a limit, then our system automatically takes off out of the bidding process that particular asset. Also, since we had a grid congestion issues, we are monitoring the power before the meter and take that also into the consideration. So really like a huge list of features, but as I mentioned before, we are putting a lot of effort into upgrading our platform. As you can see here, we are working right now on a weather data analysis and forecasting model that the activation or the management of the site will be also weather dependent. And then you can have a really complex hybrid renewable site. For example, you can have wind, solar, energy storage, and consumer on the same site. Right now, it's under the development. We are pilotizing it, and hopefully it will be ready by the end of this year. So just to sum up, we do for this site energy arbitrage based on your wishes, prices, any other limitations. As mentioned before in the previous questions, we automatize the whole reporting and billing system. And also we can consider different other units on your site within the whole, let's call it bundle of your assets, and how to make the power distribution in the most efficient way. And of course, as a result, the better return of investment you can achieve, but also maximizing and bringing the efficiency to a really new level. Also, if we just take from the energy utility perspective, that can be an extra feature that you are offering to your clients. or you can assure that this service will be the most efficient for your clients. And you remember on the first slide, we were talking about loyalty, customer loyalty. I think that this feature or this particular case is a really good way how to ensure that customers really loyal for you.
And I think this is also a good place to mention maybe a case, real life case from last year, where we traded with a battery, so that just to show how different market prices can affect it. It was a period with negative prices.
That was this year.
This year. Okay, even better. So we loaded up the battery with the negative prices, and then a couple of hours later discharged with much higher prices.
So we combined day ahead market with a MFRR, for example. So just to bring the marginality of the cycle charge discharge on a really new level.
So yes, the price delta, the difference is much bigger in that case. If you bring many
components, and but also if we take that case, for example, then the blue line is consumption from the grid. So for example, green is battery energy output. So this particular client tries not to consume from the grid. So he is using, so for him, we are also optimizing, so finding the right place where the cheapest price, and then he is using that for example, both for self-consumption, but also for trading. So we are really trying to find the right combination for that particular client.
That's good to know. And just as a kind of point to point out, like below the radar, that this is, as we see, this is like a land grab moment for power utilities also on the whole. For example, if your customers, if you give out this kind of already service to them, then it's really hard for competitors to get them over to their side with the same service. So it's like an open market at the moment.
This is really like a golden cage for your customers, for your clients.
Okay.
There was a question, I see.
Yes, from Agris. From your experience, what is the customer profile of a market participant who bids 200 euros per megawatt hour for downward activation?
From your experience, what is the customer profile of a market participant who bids? It's a really good question. What is the customer profile? Usually, from our portfolio that we have, the customer profile is usually a solar park owner who installed the battery, got it with a renewables energy grant, so he can really not compromise with a bidding margin, because I understand right now that 200 is a marginality of each cycle, not for megawatt hour. So usually, let's say last year bought batteries. I know that now they are a bit cheaper, so the marginality of the cycle can be lower. So the battery participates more times on the market and creates a really more stable cash flow, rather than just looking for 200, 250, 300 gaps. So just to answer, the profile of that client is usually solar park So he can, in some cases, utilize solar energy into the battery for this negative prices, for example, and a battery storage. So and the connection points, of course, that allows you to participate both directions, both consuming and giving back to the grid.
Okay, Agris, I hope this answered your question. Or if you have anything we need to specify, let us know. At the moment, I don't see any additional questions. So from this point of view, we can maybe move forward.
Yep. Yeah. So the final business case, it is minimizing energy costs. Again, we're talking about more like asset management. It is kind of a combination of demand side response, of energy arbitrage, and really synchronizing the asset consumption or production according to the market fluctuations. So for that, we need to real-time telemetry. In some cases, it can be even up to 1 minute.
And 1 second, you mean?
1 minute. In some cases, for example, in some countries, it can be even 1 minute. 1 second is needed for this FCR,
exactly.
less than a second. So you can see here that some of the assets are really active in finding the lowest point on of day ahead market, Nord Pool, for charging the battery or pumping up or cooling up or preheat something, and then they can already activate for example down regulation, participating on the MFRR market. Then they find another spot where they can charge or consume energy, and then again participate on the market, and really find those small gaps within the day where they can be the most energy efficient. Right now, we are talking about energy efficiency from the final check, or from the final electricity check, not energy efficiency from the consuming less perspective. We are not
turning down.
We are not turning down. By the end of the day, they need to consume the amount that is like predefined by their system. So yeah, maybe that graph will bring more lights. So you can see here we are dealing with either peak shaving or shifting the consumption into more cheaper place or during the day, and really it helps to optimize the consumption. It helps to to bring down the final check for electrical bill, and really it's also allows you, since our system has this operational insight, has you can take out the spreadsheets, analyze the activations, how your assets are active, not activations, but active during the day. It's really like additional, let's call it a data hub for further analysis of what do you need to do with either your system, with your assets. Do they need an extra upgrade, or you can minimize your energy costs with our system? And of course, it can be, as with the previous business case, it can be offered for your clients. It can be utilized for connecting your clients, bringing their loyalty. But also, you mentioned the land grabbing moment. Of course, it can be offered as a new service within your portfolio or additional service.
And did I understand correctly that from the power utilities point of view, if I have many different clients, then each of them I can separately set these points or price levels. For example, if I want to do price shaving, peak shaving, then for each of them I can set like a separate level.
Yeah. It's as with this backbone, you can predefine how many times per day they are wish to deal with the peak shaving and shifting. What should be the period between different activations? Can there be a consecutive activations or 1 hour, 2 hour between? Should it be with some kind of a delay? For example, we send an activation, but we wait for a 20-minute delay if it's needed. It can be spot price or any other market dependent. It's really like it's kind of a game, fine tuning your client's wishes to best practice.
Yes, and as you mentioned, you get then after all the data mass you can analyze and then fine tune it even more and more. And so
some of our clients use, for example, the spreadsheet of their activity, so to say, in their sustainability report analysis, for example. So they see how many kilowatt hours, megawatt hours they have saved. They were not, so they shifted and give it to either sustainability report or to any kind of annual reports that they have within their company.
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we have even cases in Estonia, for example, of this being used to get a LEED certificate for commercial building, and which is actually really hard to get all in all. But
yeah, it was not only that; it was also participating in demand-side response. The LEED, or in other countries, it's BREEAM certificate for energy efficiency. It gives 2 additional points, and several buildings in Tallinn got their certificate with, let's say, proof of concept or with our system. So it's working. It's
got certified.
Good. Correct.
Okay, we have a question coming in. Sweden have a regulation level for different markets. FCRD is for 0 to 100 kilowatts battery storage systems, and then FFR are for 100 plus kilowatt battery storage systems. When you connect to the Fusebox, is this the same?
Can get the battery storage system. I hope I understand the question correctly. Jakub, you can write me, or you can connect me after the webinar. Yes, we if the asset is able to participate on the different markets, so we find the best way to utilize, for example, that battery. So where the price is the best. So I understand that if we have 100 kilowatt, is it possible to participate on both on FFR and FCRD? I think that was the question. In Sweden, by the way, I'm not quite sure. I will not I will not just be like 100% sure if that's the case, if you can combine FFR and FCRD, but I know that on other ancillary markets, if you pre-qualify for particular time slots, then on the other time slots you can use battery for other ancillary services and just combine it. But it's a good question. I need to revise to ask the correct answer from our product team. How they combine it.
And this also kind of points to a very good additional bonus when using our platform. For example, is the value stacking, what you just mentioned, that you can use the same resource, either production or consumption, on different markets. So if it doesn't qualify for one, you go to the other, and so on. So you really can maximize every asset in your portfolio.
Yeah, and on the same backbone of every asset, you can choose on what markets you would like to participate in. We have 9 minutes. Should we go to?
Let's go.
To the next slide. So eventually, most of you would ask, okay, how you connect to different assets, how the integration is done. So there are several ways how to connect. One is through controller. We have Linux-based PLC controller that is in-house, but also we have other companies or other controller producers with whom we have established MQTT connection, and they can be used from the shelf as well. So as I have already mentioned, the controller should be connected to the LAN 4G Wi-Fi, so to the internet. On the site, we collect information through Modbus TCP or RTU and transform that protocol into MQTT protocol and send it over to our server. So all the communication eventually goes between site and our server via MQTT. Also, we are able to make a cloud-to-cloud connection to the building management systems or BMS. There are already a number of with which we have had successful projects. There are also some of them are not mentioned, are very local, for example, to Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, or Finland. No, Finland is our. Also, we have a connection to some OEM systems, to the battery, to some inverters, and basically this way of connecting to the asset is, from our mind, one of the most reliable, because when the asset is connected to the internet, local asset operator will send us host ID, and we can register that asset in the matter of minutes. Also, we established connection to the different aggregators. And in that particular case, they act as a pool aggregator for us. And when we send an activation signal, they are responsible for delivering needed volume, for example, 1 megawatt, if we talk about different markets. So really, we have a huge experience in connecting different assets through different ways. We always find a way how to connect to your asset and how to manage it. But also we can find the most efficient, robust, and easy way to connect, because all of them are different for different assets. And the question is what is the time of onboarding of so how long it takes to onboard the energy utility. So this particular case is energy utility connecting to the asset. It can be within the 3rd month, for example, of onboarding the client. So usually it's 3 months. We have cases where we have done it quicker. We have cases where we have done it a bit slower. Depends on the client, depends on the scope definition, and really defining and structuring every process of onboarding, of tenant creation, of integrating to the local systems or local platforms. But yeah, during that period, we are providing you with a full training support, all our knowledge base and experience. We deliver it to you or to your team. And once the system is set up and operational, we still have a certain technical support and maintenance and customer support during the whole lifespan of our agreement, of our cooperation. And yes, we are moving close to the end. I need to mention that this particular webinar and some others is part of one of the grants, Green ICT program. And for example, in the very beginning, I mentioned that we are almost on our final stages of connecting to the Danish TSO. So that is also one of the projects, or one of the steps in that particular project. But yeah, thank you, and we have 2 minutes for questions.
So yeah, just maybe from my side also, as we are offering our services on software as a service basis, so the opt-in is very kind of quick, easy, low capex, and it's something really you can jump on board really quickly. Alternative is building your own system, which takes years, a lot of testing, and so on. So yeah, we've come across these kinds of cases as well. And
of course, just to revise once again that our VPP system is not only virtual power plant on a maybe broad meaning. We aggregator, trading engine, EMS system. We can be both automated but also semi-manual solution for in some cases. And really, we just like an umbrella cover most of the aspects.
Exactly. But the time is up. So thank you from me and Aleksandr to everybody for participating. We will be sending out the slides in the following days and also the recording. And definitely, if you have any questions, let us know. What we showed at the moment is maybe just the tip of the iceberg of capabilities of modern VPP. Just to whet your appetite, we have 4 pages, was it?
Five pages.
5 pages.
5 pages or 6 pages of features. If we list
everything.
if we list everything, all of them.
Yeah, so our motto is if we don't have it, then you don't want it. So yeah, but thank you for listening, and
till next time.
Till next time, yeah. Exactly.